Yeah, and they thought him suspicious or something, so they decided just hit him, you know.
Huh. So your grandpa was hit with Bakan. Can you repeat the story again? I didn't hear your story
Oh,
clearly.
but you refer the Iman English or better. Yeah, when I was the I don't know how to say the Stanhoyan
Martial law.
martial law was on the winter time. Yeah, in Poland.
40 years ago in Poland.
Yeah, and you know the police. There wasn't police in the small town and village, and I walk every evening. I have to go to the woman for milk from the cow, the fresh milk. And when you walk the street, you can hear through the window the people listening the radio, the Wolna Europa,
For Europe, yeah.
Free Europe. And it was very funny because it was the martial law, and you know you can hear everywhere. Everyone was listening at this time.
Theoretically, it's
Yeah.
legal.
Was illegal, and everyone was doing that. Yes.
Huh. So if you were to get caught, like listening to the European radio, what would have happened to you? Like, what would they do?
I don't know, but everyone was listening.
But it was prohibited.
Yeah, yeah, but everyone.
Teraz mi wytłumaczcie, jak to było.
Yeah, but your English
w Polsce.
is
I
better
don't
than.
remember if they were prosecuting, but we were afraid of doing it, but we did it anyway,
Yeah,
because it was the only source of reliable information. So if you wanted to know something true even about Poland,
yeah,
you had to listen to the Radio Free Europe from Munich. The quality of the sound was very bad because,
Yeah, because they were actively jamming
Yeah.
the thing, so
but the voices were so familiar, so he as a small child could understand that it
Yeah.
wasn't the regular radio by those voices and the sounds.
but have to very noisy at the houses because you can hear on the street on the winter time and the double windows and you hear
Normally
what's
people would
happening.
do it
Yeah,
undercover.
yeah,
So how?
yeah, but maybe it was just the sign of defiance, like they are listening so loud to let the militia know that they don't
yeah,
care.
the militia
Yeah.
doesn't care about it. I remember when was the started, we don't go to the school on the first days, and it was very frozen time.
Yeah.
And we went to the forest because it was the mountain. Like the children, we didn't want to stay at home, and we walk. Was dark and was the moon on the light of the moon, and we walk, and the soldiers were staying on the crossroad
Uh-huh.
to the enter to the town, yeah.
Yeah, the entrance,
And they
yeah.
just call us to the small boys, and they say, just go to the home, don't walk. You cannot walk. Is the time is
Curfew.
Godzina
Godzina
Curfew.
policji, yeah.
Oh, speaking of curfew, martial law happened when I was in high school. And I was attending Alliance Française classes for French, and they were always run at the late evening. And I was underage, and the curfew was maybe 10 p.m. or something. I don't remember exactly. But
From
10 to 6 is usually
Yeah.
the time.
from 10.
Yeah.
And our classes were like from 8 to 9:30. And I had a special uwaga from Alliance Française, a director saying that this Beata Czesok is attending Alliance Française classes, and so if they find
Form
me,
of alibi.
So what reason did they give for having the martial law? Like, why was it
They were
implemented?
pretending that if Polish government doesn't
Impose it, then
impose
Russia will
that
invade
the
or something.
Soviet Union would invade us. So they were pretending that they are defending us from the Soviets, but from the free Europe we knew that the Soviets made them do it.
Uh,
But mainly it was because of solidarity. There
Yeah.
were strikes, people were openly showing their disappointment of the communist regime. And this happened. But with censorship, my own story is that I was corresponding with many friends. You know, we were high school age people. So I was receiving many friends on different, many letters via mail on different subjects. And can you believe that the regular mail was censored, and I would receive 3 pages of something, and with black marker, some phrases were blacked. So they were reading.
Yes, yeah, I remember.
Every-
Yeah, breach
Do
of
you
privacy,
remember the call
basically.
from somewhere? No, the call.
when you were-
Uwaga, rozmowa
When you were
kontrolowana.
making a phone call
Yeah.
and you would go into some dangerous subjects, there was a possibility that whoever was listening to it, the third party,
It was
would
it was a
warn you.
vocal message.
Yeah.
This conversation is under
survey.
Surveillance, yeah.
yeah, really. We remember that.
Don't worry, today we have the call is being
But they
recorded.
don't
Yeah.
even warn you. Or they do. It's
So
the
you
same.
had censorship in your mail, you had consequences if you were doing your radio. Did you also notice that there were certain subjects in your schooling, like books or certain things in the library, that were censored?
Well, they were teaching us some kind of crooked interpretation of history.
Yeah.
But many teachers, like me being in high school, I'm the oldest in this whole group, so I was at the age that I could understand more than you little children. So many of our teachers were openly against the government. They used to belong to Solidarity, and even though it wasn't official, they were teaching us real stories. So they would say, today we should be talking about this, but don't write it in your papers, but I will tell you about Katyn.
Yeah.
Or some
On 17th, when the Russia came.
Yes,
the second
yes. So
war.
they were teaching, and they were like after school. There were special classes that were illegal, but we were all attending it because we wanted to learn. Some were, for example, organized in the churches.
Uh-huh.
At this time, the churches were the places where the real history of Poland was taught. So the school was doing the official interpretation, but after school we were learning
The real content. So it seems that most teachers and most educators and Polish people wanted the truth,
Yes.
and you knew what the consequences
Yes.
were, but you
Yes.
went
Yes.
to find it anyways. Did any of your friends or acquaintances get caught from seeking out
Yes.
real information?
Yes,
Like what?
actually, one of my friends who was actively working with distributing the little flyers, you know, the ulotki,
Flyers for
little
people.
flyers, illegally printed pieces of paper with some information about, for example, solidarity and free the political prisoners. And he was caught with, and he was maybe what, 21 or what? So he was already adult,
Uh-huh.
and he spent a few months in prison for that. Like nothing, you would say, but at this time it was illegal, and he was caught, and they
Yeah, speaking of consequences, there was also the, I don't know how to directly translate it, ścieżka zdrowia, the health path. So like when the militia caught you, you were going through like a line of
some kind of torture.
Yeah, some kind of
but
torture
with-
method. Yeah, you know, militiamen standing on 2 sides, and they were beating you, you know, as you were going inside. Yeah, so basically like this. You just suffered a beating, you know.
I remember one thing. I was in a high school, and my sister was already living in France. But we could we can going with my mother to visiting my sister, but not together. It was only me or only my mother, because the governor was afraid when we both of us we were going out
But
and
where?
not come back
Going out where?
from Poland to France.
Oh, abroad. Oh, yeah.
Abroad.
Traveling
So
abroad
very
was
difficult.
almost impossible.
So
You can go from
it was
town to town.
passport for
Even
only
young.
one person in the family. Yeah.
And on this time you can go from town to town. You have
It
to
was
be
also
special
forbidden.
Yeah.
permit to go. From my town to Lublin,
Yeah.
I need the permit from the government
Traveling
to
was
travel.
difficult. My
And they
father
were
at this
checking.
time was a soldier, but he was a very low rank. He worked at some kind of administration, so he wasn't fighting soldier, but little mouse. But still, he knew some things, and he was giving me some lectures about the things, how they are indoctrinating them, how the high ranks soldiers are really teaching some crooked things. And he said, be afraid wherever you go, think twice what you talk about, because they have spies in every congregation. So for example, I was already part of the church community, and we were meeting twice a week in the group of maybe 40s, and we were faith sharing. It was religious. But he said even in religious groups, they try to have one spy in every congregation, because they want to infiltrate every group, and I was so afraid.
After communism collapsed, was it, I mean, you had access to information, some of you got out a little bit. Was it like a big adjustment to being able to speak your mind and not having censorship as part of the state? How did you guys react to it? Was it normal? Was it difficult? Was it wonderful?
We were not as I think that some other communistic countries were more communistic than
Not
us,
Poland.
like Czech and
Russia.
yes, well,
No.
Soviet Union. But we talk about the Bulgarians, Romanians, Czech people. They were more communistic than us, and Polish people.
Yeah, look at what happened in Romania.
Oh, yeah,
What they did to the guy.
Yeah, they beheaded Ceausescu. But we were more open-minded and more than now. I think that now there is over there you knew who is good, who is bad, and people were more brave to say the truth. And now there is so much of propaganda that
we don't
people
know
are
what is
believing.
true.
Yeah, unfortunately.
During communist time, you didn't have real communists, even those who were working, except with some exceptions, like my father, a soldier. He would say, always with the salt of, with the grain of salt, something. Okay, they are telling me this. I have to become the member of the party, but who would really believe in Marx and
Surface
Lenin?
level communism.
Yeah. And now the communists of nowadays are real believers. And I didn't know real believers in communism in 1970s and 80s. And now I do.
Many Poles was
The more detached they are from the
knew
reality,
what's
the
happening
more
in
they
Germany,
believe in
France, in
something.
America, and because they're all Poles from the mountain was in America, and they sent, and I have friends, and his uncle from Germany he sent him to him the records,
packages?
and the vinyls, the music, and they all knew. We always go to him and listen the new music from the West. And the Luxembourg radio,
Yes,
we
radio,
can listen.
the Radio Tirana.
I remember the Luxembourg with the music and the West
The
music.
music was a very big thing. We were learning English language from the Western music.
But I wrote many
My
letters.
generation.
I have the one letter and I made copy to send me the.
Oh
In the
yeah, from prospective.
Yeah, we sent to the England
Hotels,
everything for
hotels.
send me back with prospects.
Oh,
And they
it was
send
so
it.
funny.
You know, many the labels or something
Like
like
the
that. Books.
trifolds,
Yeah. And I sent it about
advertisements.
100.
Yeah. Wow.
But it is
No, the Russian, it was obligatory in Poland.
what?
Russian language in school,
Uh-huh.
not English. You cannot choose what you want to learn. It was Russian. Or
I am
in
spoiled.
the
From
high
the fourth
school,
grade,
yeah,
From
only
the fourth
Russian.
grade on, we were learning Russian.
Russian.
So it wasn't bad,
was-
but we
it
didn't
was
like
okay.
it.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was
it's a language.
But
I
it's a
wrote
beautiful
the
language.
Max Gorkiego in Russian language. All the book and I was crying.
In
Yeah.
Russian, you read it in the Russian?
Yeah, because I had to.
Really?
Yeah, in the high school. Yeah.
Maxim Gorky.
I forgot it.
Huh.
We have the magazines, color magazine, Cry Rat, in color, and Sovietsky Soyuz. We took them every month, the new number, you remember? And it was the time.
But at the
Was it black
camp,
and-
and we were obligatory signed to the Society of Friends of Soviet Union.
Yes, yes.
So you had to sign this document saying that you were in like a communist class or something?
Actually, it was like a little booklet,
Uh-huh.
and we were paying money, a penny a month, and we would give like a stamp.
Forced membership.
Yeah, okay.
But
for-
we were all laughing. Like, we were doing it for.
It was
Like,
joke.
we knew that it was fake. No, the government was thought. I mean, I don't even know if anybody thought that it was true.
No, my sister sent, and the Russian guy asked about the picture because he was in high school, and he sent me from the first communion picture.
I believe somebody else at the government went like, okay, let's make this shit up, sign up
Yeah.
everybody for it. They won't believe it anyway, but we'll tick off the boxes and it's.
Like in the school, we have to go for the travel, and you have to go to the Związek Socjalistycznej Młodzieży, something like the union of.
And 1 Maja.
Oh, yeah,
we
was the
had the
first.
1st of May marches, obligatory marches,
Uh-huh.
to show the support to the
Working man.
working class.
And you walk through the town.
Yeah, it was all
Did you have your little red scarf and star? No.
Only Soviet Union children.
No.
Boys didn't. We were not waving the red flags, only the white and
I want to
red.
say is because we in the school want to go somewhere and we don't have the money and we have to all we will put to the party the Związek Młodzieży Sowieckiej nie, Socjalistycznej and we made the legitimation and they gave us the money and we went some travel for the Mazury for 2 weeks.
The Union of Socialist Youth, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, the worst was really, there was nothing in the stores. We couldn't have real food, no
Rationing.
clothes. There was rationing of food.
Food
We
stamps,
had,
basically.
Food stamps. And once a month we would get a stamp and it would be like for a pound of beef, a pound of pork, a piece of chicken, and
shoes.
one pair of shoes a year. Sugar was rationed.
sugar,
Yeah.
It was
cigarettes,
like a war.
Yeah, and the shop you have only the ocet, I don't have
yeah,
the vinegar
vinegar,
and the green groszek zielony. I remember the green pie.
Peace, yeah.
Peace, yeah. And
How we didn't, for example, we didn't have the hygienic products. It was awful. How did we?
Obviously, a sign.
the
Do you
powder
mean-
popular for washing machine.
Because I can tell you also interesting story. Like my grandparents,
Obviously, a sign of a
they also
prosperous
had
economy,
such
right?
problems,
Oh.
and they didn't have toilet paper. That can be very funny for an interview. And what did they do when they didn't have toilet paper?
Old
They
catalogs
had,
and leaves?
No, they had newspapers that were from very rough and not good paper. And my grandfather said that sometimes the newspapers they were like different information, and sometimes there was like some pictures of important people in country. So he said like this you can't touch, you can use only like pieces without this. Yeah, and
Washing
it was so
machines at
funny.
the time. Like, was it?
Oh, Frania. It was a special. And some
I
Franias
remember-
are still working.
And to the church, the American Union sent the cheese. The
Oh,
yellow.
cheddar, yellow, orange cheddar.
Yeah,
Yes,
orange, it was
yes.
horrible.
Oh, it was delicious.
No, it was the packet.
We have experts here.
And the mocha.
Flour.
Yeah, the flour with the big bags.
So we were receiving food packages from the West, and also clothes.
Were they sent to your local church and distributed?
Yes, churches were distributing. Yeah.
Another reason the authorities didn't like the church.
Huh. I'm surprised the mail wasn't confiscated by the top people in the party.
I mean, I believe it's because church, was really like a lot of Polish people, at least at the time, were church going.
Yeah.
So to have some acts taken against the church would just mean massive popular backlash. So that might have been the reason.
For sure. Wild.
Mostly good time.
We were young, but I still have two sweaters I knitted. Using because you couldn't buy any glamorous clothes. Everything was very bland. So if you wanted something beautiful, you had to make it. But even buying the yarn wasn't easy. So from my two trips, Czech Republic and Dresden, I bought some pieces of yarn and I made beautiful knitted.
Let's be historically accurate. Czechoslovakia.
It was Czechoslovakia. Yes, it was in Czechoslovakia. And maybe I will wear my beautiful sweaters that I still have from the 1980s.
They held up.
On the roof. The old shoes my mother bought in Warsaw because in the shops you couldn't buy in the village, and then she went to Magan with her mother, and it was the shoes, and it was horrible for the man, and he bought it because you have to, and the shoes we never use.
And the long queues to wait for something you didn't even know what will be. So for example, if there was 0 books in the bookstore, all of a sudden somebody would hear a rumor that they will bring something. So there would be 100 people queue in front of the bookstore, and the only book they bring is the 2-volume history of theater. So everybody from this queue would buy 2-volume history of theater.
So you get a whole bunch of random things,
Yeah.
irregular
Gotta pass
goods.
the time, so.
Yeah.
For example, I remember also nice stories about
Was like he said,
from my parents' life.
she was
My mom told that
every day from the morning to
grandfather
the evening, and she
wanted
bought,
to have a good New Year's Day,
the battery
and
for
there
the
were
watch.
no oranges. And he went to
Because they
Moscow
gave the
to
battery.
buy oranges for holiday.
And she didn't have a watch.
Also, there was a
Buy
problem
whatever
with
they
nice white tights for girls.
Yeah.
And there were in kindergarten there were some I don't know, some dance or like how to say, like children were doing something like theater dancing,
What
and
did
they
I do?
needed some nice clothes and white ties. And my grandfather, he was looking everywhere, he was trying to get it, and he got it, and it was so unusual because normally it was really hard to get white ties. So I hope that you will use this information, especially about newspaper, in your interview.
Well, this I'm doing a comparison to East versus West in censorship. So in Asia and then during the USSR Cold War era. So this will be a part of my assignment. Thank you. I love to hear your crazy stories of scampering around in the woods, toilet paper, and food stamps, and illegal lessons in the church. Guys sound like you guys side out truth.
You have to remember, we were young, we were a child at this time.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and we see the difference because the older people, like my parents, they saw the different things, very
They were
dangerous.
responsible for children and they suffered that they couldn't provide. And we were recipients of whatever,
Yes,
and we
it
had
was new stuff.
Yeah,
On the
yeah,
Sunday
we
you
were
cannot watch TV.
Yeah, but during this time also there were made some great Polish comedy films, like showing the absurdity of the system, like having a laugh at its expense.
The best things, I think, was things like you cannot buy the dollars American, you cannot sell it, you cannot bring to the country from the trip,
Yeah.
but you cannot have the
even your passport, you couldn't have your passport.
you cannot buy,
They took
sell,
it, like,
take, brought from the border, have the dollars, but where the shops where you can
Oh,
buy.
perfect!
Yeah,
What is
where
the
you can go
perfect?
and then you have, if you have the dollars, you can buy it.
Deodorant fa was $1.
Nie, but to say, because it's very funny. Nie mogliśmy kupować, sprzedawać,
Yeah.
przywozić, mieć.
So it wasn't legal to own dollars, but there were special stores with everything from the West where you could only buy things using dollars.
Huh. And so, but you were still one family passport for family, but you could still go out of Poland. How do?
No, one passport for family.
it was very
One permit to travel. If you had a family abroad, they wouldn't allow like two daughters or sisters to visit a family abroad because they would be afraid that their family would want to stay. Even the couple, if let's say husband and wife were invited to visit a dying mother-in-law in whatever, Western
In Berlin.
Europe or Berlin, they wouldn't allow both people to go. They would let one
Only
stay
one person.
behind because they were afraid that they want to how do we call it? Escape.
When I applied for the passport, I have to write for all my family. When my sister have husband, about his family and his sister, I was writing many names on the passport to the office.
Yeah, really the control of the government over the citizens was, I mean, they wanted it to be total,
Yeah.
that they wanted to know everything about us.
And it was very difficult because you have to write all the families around and they were checking because probably they knew many things.
So they were trying to prevent us from learning about the West, but then it immediately, when it opened, I remember 1989, 1990, when the boundaries opened, immediately the tourism started. We were traveling by buses with the tents to see the world,
Yeah.
and it was incredible.
And
It
the
was like a
old goods,
flood of
from around the world was from the Turkish there.
yeah, people were bringing.
Yeah.
The exchange was happening. People would take something from Poland and go to Turkey and sell it on the market and buy something else and bring here. Oh,
And to Hungary, I remember was something from Hungary.
what do you bring from Hungary?
I know my brother was
Yeah,
the
but
traveling
what
all around.
did
I
he
don't
bring?
know what he.
Oh,
From
something.
Russia, he was bringing the gold,
Russia?
and when we were eating, yeah,
Who was traveling to Russia?
yeah.
Hungary was for selling the natural skóry.
Fabric?
Lisy.
First.
Fur.
Yeah,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
from Russia, the gold, because my sister husband,
Oh, the
and
red.
he went to
kind of-
somewhere in the east and was a travel, and where he brought the gold. Brought the gold, and my brother with his wife, they went to Russia, and they was
Swallowing.
yeah,
No.
and it was very funny because they
Like smuggling drugs.
yeah, they came to the house and put the newspaper on the floor because have to go out the gold. And when
they were
he
shitting
when he made the shit, they look, it's nothing.
So you
After just okay, something more, it was only gold.
so you're
So what-
you brought back
so was it
gold
so
from
cheap, or-
Russia?
Yeah, very cheap in Russia. Yeah.
But it was with copper. The Russian gold at the time was known to be, they were calling red gold.
Yeah.
Because it was not the pure gold. It
Uh-huh.
It was an alloy or something.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And the ruby, I remember the ring with ruby, the red one, like the star on the.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember it was the big one.
Huh. That's crazy.
So like buying a fridge or furniture or a
Let's
car.
you just
was
you
almost
no
impossible.
you would have to pay for it. I know in Germany you'd have to wait almost 15 years to get a car, and you'd have to pay in installments, so you might not
and even
ever get.
apartment, you were waiting in the line and
Also about car, you mean not only
couldn't
for
buy
our
the car.
but I think Belarus was the same. It's
Yeah.
only stories my uncle's sons and
actually you could introduce Yatu Yang because she lived a little bit in Soviet Union.
yeah.
But this is
I
the
cannot
difference.
remember so
But she's
much
too
because
young.
it was previously. The
Yeah,
stories
yeah,
I
yeah.
also had
Her
about-
parents would tell you more.
But let's be honest, you still have a bit of an experience. let's be honest.
Well, actually, my parents visited the DDR during that time, and my aunts have told very, very similar stories to what you guys are saying.
But they have better life because they were close to Germany, the West Germany. And we're traveling for the t-shirts. I remember the t-shirt from DDR.
There's this famous, photo of a East German, soldier jumping over the wire, to West Germany. But there isn't a happy ending to this story. He committed suicide some years later. But yeah, it was a famous one at the time, I believe.
Nudo. Nudo oj.